Hey YouTube, and thank you for watching Junkworks Garage. Most people would be starting with everything on the ground, wheels and tires and all that kind of stuff. Well, to put the lift on this rig, I've pretty much torn apart the front end, loosened up a bunch of stuff, and put the lift on and struts in there, as well as new tire rod ends and all the other stuff. So everything is completely out of whack already. So the first thing I am going to do is make sure that that steering wheel is perfect where I want it at, so it's steering straight ahead. And then I'm going to put this all back by eye, as close as I can, just by eye, and make sure whatever I do on this side I do on that side as well, so that everything is also the same. I'm going to take measurements of how far I put everything and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna have to kind of get things close, and then we will be putting the tires back on, doing some more of the alignment stuff and going back and forth. Now, I am very lucky to have a lift. Obviously I can put the tire on and adjust stuff underneath with the tires on, with it setting on here on its weight, which is what you need to do when you are doing this. Most people, you're going to either have to do some sort of crib system, like you can look out there, there's a lot of people that make crib systems to lift the whole car up and then you can set the weight on it, or you have to put it on the ground with the tire, do all your measurements, lift it up in the air, kind of based off your measurements, start adjusting things, put it back down on the ground. Alright, I ran out of battery. So I was saying, you put it back down on the ground, do all your measurements again, and based on that you lift it back up and you move things around. All the things I'm going to move will apply to things you're going to need to move on your rig, especially if you have a Jeep Liberty. Now this will somewhat apply to all rigs. There's always, you know, similar adjustments somehow or another that you can make, that I'll be able to make on here and show you guys how. Now I'll be honest, I've done some front end alignments just eyeball and then using some tape measures and that kind of stuff. I've never used one of these kind of systems. I've never even actually aligned a car with a machine. I've never actually done that. But I know the basics about suspensions on cars. I have done a lot of suspension type stuff on cars. So in that case, we're kind of both learning together a little bit here. We're finding out if this 10 holes in thing is worth the hype that it gets, and hopefully we'll get this done. Now the reason I'm doing this is the last 2 or 3 alignments I've done at places that are reputable shops, not just Joe Blow on the side of the road, reputable shops that are throughout the nation. I've been to 3 different places actually, and every single one of them came back. Steering wheels weren't straight, the alignment wasn't right, my Astro van completely started wearing the tires out after having, you know, new tires on and an alignment supposedly done. I told them to take the Camber and run it out a little bit, and they did that and it was fine after that, but I shouldn't have to do that. So yet again, instead of paying a bunch of money to have nothing done or the wrong thing done, I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. And worst case scenario, I'll do it as wrong as they will, but at least I got it done for free. So if there's anybody out there that does know more about this and sees that I did something incorrect, please leave a comment below. But for now, I'm going to go in yet again, put the steering wheel straight, lift this thing up, and start kind of eyeballing where things are for now. According to the caster on the left hand side, we're in spec there. The right hand side is about 1 degree off from the right hand side is about 1 degree off from the left hand side. But in this rig also, when you adjust camber, it messes with your caster, and both sides of the camber need some work. So I'm actually going to start with the left side, try and get the camber in spec on that side because the caster's already in spec. And like I said, when you mess with camber, you mess a little bit with caster. So then I'll find out in the end, once the camber is good, yet again we'll test the caster and see if the caster is good still. And then once I find that out, then I know how much I need to adjust this side by. Because you want side to side, there can only be a percentage, so much percentage from side to side, regardless of what the tolerances are as well. So once I get the left side, which seems to be closer to spec, into spec, that'll give me an idea of how much I need to adjust on the right hand side. So we're up under the rig. On the driver or left hand side here is what we're looking at. This is the front, that is the back. We got, let's see, if you watch my lift video for this Jeep where I put the lift in, I have a bunch of different tools I used on these to adjust them. I don't remember what sizes I had at the time, but I had some metric, and then I had a crescent wrench I was using. I went and picked up some more impact stuff because I do use chrome sockets too often, I admit. And this is a 15/16, and that seems to fit on here fine. I don't know what the metric, if I had a metric one for that as well or not. But and then this one here is a 21 millimeter for this side here. It's a little loose, so I'm not sure what the equivalent is. Half of these I can't get on with a ratchet or with my impact from one side or the other, so I end up having to use a crescent wrench as well. But it was difficult to loosen these. I will say I put penetrating lube on them for several days actually, and used my impact and was able to get it off. Unless you have a large crowbar or pry bar to be able to get these loose, you're probably going to be having a rough time with it, I will admit. But once you get them loose, they're pretty easy to maneuver back and forth and adjust. So I have these tightened back up because I did actually drive this out to get some other stuff done. So I got to loosen these back up. And then on the inside, on both sides, you have these cam bolts that have kind of a off center drilled hole in a washer, which allows this to push on here and push these in and out based on what you need. So as far as the top, I am not seeing any adjustments in the top. I believe it's all in the bottom. I might have to kind of take a look at this a little better and see, but right now this is what I'm starting with, is that here and here they both have the cam bolts that you can adjust and make this A-arm here move this way and this way, or they can both go out or both go in based on what you need to do. It's not a ton of adjustment, so I'm hoping we can get it real close. I don't know. I did not replace the upper A-arm like a lot of people say you need to for a lift on these, but we'll see, and maybe I'll have to spend some money a little later. But for now, I'm gonna go with it. So that definitely change things, but I do have these. That's one thing I should say. You should definitely mark these, because now with this I can get this back where I need it or where it was just by putting it where the mark was here. So I'm gonna go get an actual just open and wrench so I can see this a little better as well. Not sure. Yeah, I can get on this one. I think on the other side is where I'm gonna have, where you have more trouble with wrenches and things. Now I've loosened that up, I can adjust it some. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up this side and get it to where I can start adjusting things. Both of these were facing kind of up, where there's lots of space underneath this in this area. And the only place where this is touching on here and kind of holding it is right here, and I don't like that. So, although I had my tire kind of where I wanted it, I realized I wanted to change the way it was. There's a mark right here. I went ahead, you can't see it now, but I put a mark right where you can see it through this hole right there, and brought this around to exactly opposite of where it was up here, or pretty close to it. Anyway, and checked my measurements again, and it's correct still. I still have to mess with this one to see if it stays the same. I'm hoping it does, because I'm gonna have to figure out if I bring this right in this area right here. I'm not sure if how concentric this part of it is. We'll have to see if the measurements stay the same by bringing that down into here. I want it down more into this pocket here. We are just moving this cam bolt so that it kind of hits on things and moves these like that. So this, like this is the A-arm, it's moving this way or this way based on, and which moves this right here in and out, forward and back. Now I've kind of brought this down, cleaned things up, and actually moved this back some, and I'm going to jounce it a little bit. You want to move your car every time you do adjustments. Every time you adjust something, if you just leave it where it is and you don't move the car around some, in fact, I'm kind of questioning if I've moved it enough. I'm trying to keep it in the shop. It's stupid hot outside, so I'm trying to keep it in the shop. So you need to decide for yourself how much you need to move it. I've seen people just roll it forward, roll it backward, basically in the same spot, and call it a day. So that's going to depend on your knowledge and what you want to do. I actually drove it back, drove it forward. I marked everything down there to make sure if moving it around, maybe you would, if I didn't tighten it up quite enough, because I didn't torque anything up. I just cranked it down pretty good by hand as much as I could, and hopefully things won't move around, but I have marks just in case they do. So I'm going to go actually and check the camber on this first and see if anything's changed from where the last measurement I took. We're under the car here. This is the left side here, or driver's side, and we got your right side or passenger side in the US here. And both of these, the camber, I have it so that now both tires are facing in at the top. So both of them are in this way at the top. So both of them need to go out from the measurements I've taken. Now technically this one is in, but it's at the, as far as you want to go in, and this one is like way too far now. So I don't know, I went from one side the wrong way quite a bit to the other way the wrong way quite a bit. Now with the camber, although you can mess with the camber, will be affected by both of these. The front one is the one you want to do to get the most camber adjustment from, yet again, what I have read. Now also I have noticed that these move quite a bit based on that as well, and like I said, this one's not so bad, yet this right here has a smaller gap than this right here. So if I bring this in, that should bring the top of that tire out. So I'm going to try and get these gaps completely out of both sides is my plan. So I'm going to bring this way, and by doing that, yet again, you got to turn your bolt, your cam bolt here on the inside to make that come this way. Hopefully yet again this makes sense, but that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to show this all to you because it's already probably going to be more than long enough, and I'm just taking the tools I need to do that, loosening them up, moving the cam bolt, adjusting things, and rechecking both sides until it's where I want to be. That is what I'm going to do right now, and then we're going to check everything all over again with the caster, and more than likely I'm going to have to do it all over again. This is not something that you're going to just do in an hour. It's going to take you some time.
I live inside my own of make-believe. Kids screaming in the crib.
We got our toe, which is the front of your tire basically going in or out from each other. You want it on a four-wheel drive, I believe, and a rear-wheel drive. You want it towed slightly in. According to some research I've done and some stuff I've heard, front-wheel drives you want slightly towed out. You need to do your own research on that. But regardless, this is four-wheel drive, mostly rear-wheel drive unless you use the four-wheel drive. So I'm going to tow it slightly in. I have done the toe measurement on here. If you want to go see how I'm measuring all this out, you need to go watch my 10 holes in video, and I'll have a video on that hopefully coming out. Either it'll be out or coming out soon on my tools, products, and reviews playlist. But I'm going to go underneath here, and to be honest, I've had some difficulty figuring this all out, and unfortunately there is no machined spots in this. So the only way to adjust this is by grabbing a hold of this, undoing the lock nut here, and then turning this so that it makes this go in and out. Now, I have also had difficulty getting this correct on both sides, but what I've come to figure out is when I turn this, that lock nut will turn the same if I'm careful, and I can say, okay, I turn this one turn once I'm back to this mark that I've put on this lock nut right here. And I've done that on both sides. I've got both of these, just I eyeballed it basically, what I thought it should be close to, and then I made sure that on both sides that the measurement between the end of this and the outer part of the threaded section here is the same on both sides. So now every time I turn this one, I'll turn that one, and vice versa if I have to go back and forth until I get it to where I want it. And then hopefully we're just going to do this a little bit at a time. I can also say that from experience of screwing this up once already and having to kind of go back to where I am right now, that one thread doesn't mean you're moving it only, you know, it really moves a lot per thread. I don't know how else to say that, but I ended up adjusting this where I thought it would be like I needed to come in a 1/4 inch, and went like a 1/4 inch this way based on the threads, and I ended up way off. So just little measurement at a time, or little turns at a time, I would say. So I am going to bring the front of the tire in, which is what I need to do, and I'm just going to turn this, I hope. Sorry about the shaky cam, there's not really a good place to put this. Okay, so that is about one turn, and there is a mark kind of on this casting mark that I'm kind of going by. You might not be able to see that, but that's kind of what I'm going by. I'm going to do the same thing on that side over there. I'm going to move them in and out until I get these measurements correct. Yet again, go watch my 10 holes in video if you want to see how I get the measurements. Well, get out there and get your junk working. Thanks for watching Junk Works Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all and master of none. You all have a good one.